Hello, Halogenic Man here. I'm starting a bit of a video journal. I'm getting back into shooting again. I have a Glock 22 first generation that was bought when they first came out. In fact, the serial number is under 1,000. That was bought, I believe, back in 2000. I fired it. Not a very good shot. I spent my entire youth and my career in the military firing rifle and did not have a lot of experience with pistol. The interesting thing is my uncle went firing with me, and mind you, his eyesight was failing, and he was able to fire it very accurately, something that I've marveled at over the years. Since I've gotten back into shooting again, we have a few 22s. We have Mark III 22-45s, and we have Ruger SR-22s. Very nice little gun. Been doing some more pistol firing with the 22s, learning things that I didn't know before. Sight picture, focusing on the front sight, those kind of things. So I've decided that it's time to start getting refamiliarized with my Glock 22. Maybe for the first time, actually being able to shoot it properly. We're at our local gun range. It's early in the morning and it's quiet around here. Nice time to be here. I have some Glock clips that, in the interest of time, are already loaded with 5 rounds. For the most part, I'll only be putting 5 rounds into the clip because I also need basically practice with loading and unloading, or putting fresh magazines in. As this goes, I'm going to be setting aside my carry magazines that are loaded with 180 grain, and I'll be doing today's firing with 165 grain. This is all going to be Federal American Eagle ammo, basically inexpensive, full metal jacket. Couple of things. One is, when I conceal carry, I do not carry with the magazine in the gun. I do not believe that I'm ever going to be in a quick draw competition of any kind. And I'm a parent and I have children, and for safety's sake, as well as not shooting myself with a gun in a holster or reholstering, I basically carry my gun not only without a round in the chamber, but without a magazine in the gun at all. I'm basically of a nature that if I were in an emergency situation, I'd be seeking shelter first and then firing from shelter. In shelter, I'd get my magazine out, load it, and go from there. I'm not going to delude myself with a quick draw concept. That may bite me in the end, but that's a safety concern. The odds of my having an accident with children around is more of a concern to me than my not having a quick draw capability. So, to begin with, safety always. My glasses actually are, I believe it's polycarbonate, whatever, but they serve as safety glasses. I'll be putting on some ear protection. And from this point, I might actually speak a little louder in that I can't hear myself as well. They have soft tips, and it takes a little bit to get them in there. There we go. So, I will routinely be putting the magazines into my magazine pouch and practicing with taking them out of the magazine pouch. Again, this is a new situation. You might have noticed the trouble I had getting my magazine out of my magazine pouch. That's because it's not properly broken in yet. But there we go. So, I have targets set up at 25 feet and at 50 feet. In general, that and closer are the combat distances for pistol use. And the 50 feet is for marksmanship more than anything, but I will be starting off with a 25 foot. Remember, I haven't fired my Glock 22 in 10 or maybe 15 years, over 15 years. I did go and do a thorough cleaning for safety, made sure it was properly barrel cleared and cleaned and properly lubricated. In the past, I was like, if a little oil is good, more oil is better. And the Glock, which you're supposed to be able to stick in the mud and still keep firing, would jam for me, misfire, etc. I do not believe it was ammunition. I believe it was I had so much oil in there that it basically gathered all the carbon from the fouling and made it gunky. I've had a change of heart. I only put a teeny bit of oil just on the contact points as they suggest and stuff like that. So I have 4 targets, 2 at 25, 2 at 50. I'm going to do a slow fire at the 25 on the left-hand target, and then I'm going to do a more rapid fire at the right-hand target. As time goes by, my ability to rapid fire will increase. At this point, I'm just hoping to get it on paper. You know, they say you should be able to do 5 shots in under 5 seconds at the 25 feet, and you should be able to get 5 slow shots on paper at 50 feet. No, actually at 75 feet, which is even further than that. So I'm not pushing myself very hard. I'm just trying to get re-familiar at this point, learn what my sight picture is on the gun, and go from there. I do like the stock sights on the Glock. They have a white dot at the front and a squared off white U in the back, and it makes for a very nice sight picture. Being as I have the Generation 1, the grips are slipperier. They're not as tight to grip and stuff like that, and I don't have currently any kind of wrapping on the grips to give a better grip. If I recall, that was the biggest issue I had. Maybe I limp wristed it, maybe I wasn't holding it tight enough, maybe I had too much oil on it, and maybe the grips are just slippery on the Generation 1. So let me work on taking 5 slow shots at 25 feet. Okay, that was 5 slow shots at 25 feet. Not the slowest of shots, but 5, make sure I get my sight picture and then fire. I'm not on paper. I mean, there's one hole, and it's at the absolute lower left-hand quarter of the paper. It looked as though I was hitting low. And that was with the sight picture clean, with the dot, my target above it. So, and I did not use large paper to see where I'm at. So I'm actually going to do the same thing, but hold the sight picture basically about 5 to 6 inches above where I'm aiming. I'm going to see if I get on paper there. Well, that was aimed 5 or 6 inches above the paper, and I have a shot on paper that is to the left, same exact distance as I was before, but at the height that I need. So, according to that, I need to stay 6 inches above target, and this time move over to the right by about 5 inches. If that's the case, I should be getting on paper better. Oops. I'm going to keep those set aside. Those are my 180 grain. More of the 165 grain. These are the original 15s that came with this. And by the way, I misspoke when I said that I got this in around 2000. I was in the military from 84 to 92. I probably bought this in 90 or 91. And at the time, I got 15 round magazines with it. And then there came the assault weapon and the magazine ban in 94 for about 10 years where you couldn't get the magazine. So I had 15 round magazines back from before they were unavailable, and then they became available again. Currently they're back into trying to take away our Second Amendment rights and trying to narrow down things and stuff like that. So I've been through this a couple of times at this point. Back to what we're doing. I'm basically just trying to print on paper. I have a clean sight picture. I hate to think that my Glock sights are that far off. But that's what the process is about. Well, now I'm printing just a little bit to the right. There is a possibility that I'm just that bad a shot. However, I get groups with my 22s, groups about this big at 25 feet and about this big at 50 feet. I don't believe I'm that bad a shot. I'm actually going to do something a little different at this point. I'm going to bring the paper in about half the distance, and that'll be about 12 feet, about 4 yards, just to see where I'm printing on paper. So I'm going to do that. Halogenic Man here again. Just finished moving the target about half the distance from 25 to about 12. Ultimately, what's that, about 4 yards? That's just basically almost in my face. A lot of combat video training and exercise is actually from 0 to 7 yards, and maybe it's a good place to start. Ultimately, at this point, I'm trying to just print on paper and see where to hold the sights and stuff like that. We finished policing the brass for the most part and reloaded some clips with another, again with 5 rounds for the practice to continue to change. I'm going to take some more shots, this time at about 4 yards. Just trying to get on paper at this point. They say don't strive for perfection, try for progress. And so I'm working on progress. If nothing else, this gives me a baseline. That's 3. I'm at 12 feet. I'm holding my target dead on, and I'm not getting where I want to be. So I'm going to take another 2. Well, I take that back. The last two were right on target. So, as an option, this could always be that I'm that bad of a pistol shot. And that's getting better. So, I'm going to do that again with another 5 rounds. I don't know if you notice this or if you can even see on the camera. Is this in screen? Go down to where my holster is. When I grab, I always make sure that my finger is out of the way, and I make sure I grab as best I can right there. I pull the shirt up first, I grab, and then when I come out, I'm like this. You want to do everything you can to prevent having your finger on the trigger. Okay, so I'm going to get another magazine of 5. Again, not going for perfection, I'm going for progress. I now have 3 that are on target. Now, I had this experience with a 22 where I was getting familiar with the Mark III 22-45, and then I was getting familiar with the SR-22, both by Ruger, by the way, and I got better and better. So perhaps that's what's going on here. I presume that my improvements on the 22 would translate over to this Glock. And turns out I'm wrong. So here we go. I wasn't in battery. Apparently I was talking rather than doing. And yes, that's definitely an improvement. So I'm basically just going to go through these other magazines on this same paper, and I'm going to go with the concept of improving, and then I'm going to put some paper onto clean paper and see how I'm doing after that. That is absolutely an improvement. Going to reholster. Always keeping it finger off the trigger. Alright. Well, ammunition is quite expensive nowadays. The deal with the Second Amendment being challenged in so many ways and whatnot, a lot of people, rightly so, have responded by buying up ammunition. Makes it hard to get, makes it expensive. However, you should not have a gun if you do not know how to shoot it. Just because I presumed that this was going to translate across from my 22 pistols, it did not. And there's no way that that's considered a good thing to carry a gun that you're not familiar with. Another reason for putting 5 rounds in a magazine is you get a lot more experience with the mechanics of loading, unloading, without going through the cost of a lot of ammunition. Now mind you, I still have 40 rounds of 180 grain that's going home with me, but that is the last 15 rounds of this 165 I have for practicing. I'm going to do this time, I'm going to be on clean paper, and I'm going to, the reason will, as soon as I get my sight picture take the next shot. I'm not going to hesitate and get the absolute perfect. I take that back. I'm going to do 5 with the absolute perfect that I can get, and then I'm going to look at that, and then I'm going to take the next 10 reasonably as quickly as I can get. So, we're ready to go.
Wait a moment.
Didn't quite take it as slow as I was talking about. It just feels right to pull the trigger when the sight picture comes up. Alrighty.
Wait.
Alrighty. That was 15. That was 3 magazines, so it was 2 magazine changes. I'm new to this gun. I need to get more familiar with it. I'll continue doing that. Basically working on progress as opposed to perfection. Oh, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 15 on paper. For the most part, I believe that my misses were all low, which makes sense because in my sight picture, I draw my 3, and then I have my device, my target above it, and it sounds as though the Glock is you need to hold higher and actually cover your target with the sight picture. That's a matter of becoming more familiar. Now, on the other side of this, I'll also continue this as the weeks go by at 25 feet, now that I'm on paper at least. I'll continue this at 25 feet, and it may be that the pattern will raise up toward the target at 25 feet. Your sights, you have to understand, are on the top of your gun, and your bullet comes up from underneath that. So as the distance progresses, they converge. And the odds are at 25 feet, what I'm getting is a pattern below the target will actually be a pattern on the target. Let me reholster. We're safe, we're clear. Again, I carry without a magazine. I know that's not a Wild Bill Hickok thing, but it's not a Jesse James thing, but it's a safety thing. So, at this point, I started off very disappointed with what I was getting. I wasn't even getting in paper, and it turns out it is a fine-tuning. I'm truly getting better at getting on the paper, if nothing else. And then from here I'll work on getting that pattern tighter, and then I'll progress it out to 25 feet and get on paper at 25 feet, and then work on getting that pattern tighter. That's the same process I actually went through with the 22s. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised that it's the same process with this gun. So, I'm going to, oh, by the way, I'm going to also, I put in a request for my birthday to get a different barrel, a Lone Wolf ported barrel that should help a muzzle flip and make accuracy a little better. We'll see if it works, it makes a difference. Again, a lot of this could be just how bad a pistol shooter I am. My experience is all with rifle, I'm very comfortable with that, and this is a whole new experience for me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.